Welcome to the program. I'm Lee Sales. A new day in England has brought fresh fears of more violence. The nation's reeling from the worst unrest there in 3 decades. It's also been a dramatic day on the Australian stock market, and shortly we'll be speaking to some retirees about their fears for their nest eggs. But first, let's go straight to those extraordinary London scenes. Rioters are now rampaging far beyond the capital. The violence has shut down entire suburbs and terrified residents are fleeing their homes. In a desperate move, Scotland Yard has introduced special powers in some areas to try to contain the trouble. But is the police presence on the ground sufficient? Shortly, I'll be crossing to London, but first, have a look at some of the dramatic pictures out of the UK in the past 24 hours.
Why are you stealing everything?
Where are the police?
The police are hiding. The police are hiding.
We haven't heard.
We actually saw a group of police officers run through an alley away from a group of people that are running towards them. It's absolute panic.
Police line, they had the line stood there, had actually charged towards her and started hitting her with the baton. Subsequently, it turned out she was only 16, and this absolutely made everyone go up in uproar.
Pretty the policemen don't carry guns here, no?
I just think emergency services response was awful.
Because the police are fighting us too much, like they're telling us no, no, and then they killed someone.
Yeah.
I don't know why people do this.
Unbelievable, isn't it? And joining me now from London is Lee Jasper. He was a policing and equalities advisor to the former London Mayor Ken Livingstone. Mr Jasper, we know that the protests in Tottenham started on the weekend because of a specific incident in which police shot a man. But what's driving the spread of this violence well beyond that area?
I think there are a number of reasons for its spread. I think we've seen huge levels of austerity cuts in many inner city areas. That's leading to a great deal of anxiety, concern. Young people themselves now are not able to afford to take higher education, even at a basic level, much less to get into a higher educational degree. That unemployment continues to rise. And there is a sense of anxiety, but also a sense of moral crisis in the country. I think because of the MP scandal, the corporate tax dodging issue of huge multinational companies, the News International corruption cases with the Metropolitan Police and phone hacking, there is a kind of a failure, really, of people in power to uphold the kind of moral standards that we all aspire to. And as such, this has had an effect around the country, particularly in some very poor and deprived communities. I saw a youth with a 52-inch screen walking, having robbed it from a local store in London. And when I asked him what he's doing, he said to me that this is his banker's bonus. It's his MP's expenses. So we have a kind of malaise, a crisis of morality in the country. Things are very tough in very many areas, and I think there is a sort of criminal opportunism that is riding on the back of a legitimate protest of what was a very serious incident of gunning a man down on London streets. And as a consequence of that, lots of people have sought to criminally exploit what is a legitimate issue.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but presumably there would be a lot of Londoners who feel disenfranchised or unemployed, affected by the austerity measures, who are upset with the sort of issues you raise, who aren't out on the streets of London looting. Is this sort of merely an excuse for people to indulge in criminal behaviour?
No, I don't think so, because I think that as reprehensible as the attacks on people and property are, and Lord knows that that is true, it is incredible that you could think about explaining situation without making reference to the fact that we've got deeply alienated sections of our inner cities, young people who don't think that they've got any stake in society. And I think any society wants to minimise the number of people that feel like that. And unfortunately, over the last few years, we've seen that number grow. People are not able to get houses. People are not able to get into further and higher education. Employment opportunities are scarce. And when people like that feel that they have no stake, or they have, and the abandonment of hope and opportunity, then the politics of cynicism, the politics of desperation fill the vacuum. And I think that what you're seeing is a take-up by people in very many inner cities who are deeply alienated, deeply angry, deeply frustrated, and are taking out their misplaced anger in a splurge of criminal irresponsibility.
OK, well, let me read you, if I could read you a comment which was left on the London Telegraph website in response to an article that's making similar points to those that you're making. And the comment is, "What a load of twaddle. I come from a broken home and was raised on council estates. I didn't look at people who had more than me and think jealous thoughts. Through sheer hard work and determination, I retired in my 40s, a very wealthy man. Opportunities in life stop and start with the person in the mirror." What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, he's not 21 and living as a young black person on a housing estate in the middle of Peckham, or Brixton, or Toxteth, or Handsworth, or a young white person in Romford, in Newcastle, in Liverpool, whose whole family for a generation has been left unemployed. One can't simply discount these things. Everybody wants to return to order and normality. But if we think that simply locking people up is going to solve the problem in the wake of these disturbances, then we're set to see a repeat of those disturbances at some point in the future. One can deal with the symptom, which is the explosion of criminality, but one also has to focus on the cause, and that is the lack of engagement, democratic engagement, deep alienation that is faced by many young people in our inner cities. And in fact, not even young people. We've got 40 or 50-year-olds now being made unemployed in the country who are completely angry and alienated that their futures and their pensions are degraded and so on. And let me say this. This is not about young people or indeed young black people. I've been on the streets of London. I've seen middle-aged dentist technicians out there on the streets of London. I've seen people who are in a professional capacity, and I think when you find the arrests are made, you'll find that although the poor and deprived areas are represented, they're no means exclusively the ones being engaged in these activities.
Where are the protesters all coming from, and what is the level of coordination of what's going on?
Well, we're living in a multimedia world, and all of the tools for coordination are already out there. So people are using social networking sites, which everybody now is fairly accustomed to, and are able to organise all sorts of activities using this new network and social media. And that is providing a communications platform for people to initiate coordinated activity right across the country.
Lee Jasper, thank you very much for making time to speak to us today.
Thank you.